The world can seem upside down at times, which has set me on a journey in search for love, truth, and ultimately personal freedom. I'm on a mission to help people find peace and healing so that each of us as individuals and ultimately the collective can be free from whatever keeps us stuck and skews our view of just how beautiful this life can be. Welcome to the Lucas Mack Show. Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Lucas Mack Show. I am Lucas Mack, and I'm so excited to have you join me on this journey. This is one of my favorite episodes. I have Elizabeth Troy on. She's an integrated nutritionist, health and well-being coach, facilitator, and she works with the meridian and fascia and stretching, but also helps people heal from emotional trauma, and that leads to physical healing. This is an incredible episode. She shares her journey and how she even got into this. And I'm going to put all her information in the show notes. So make sure that you, if you're interested, reach out to her and schedule some time. You can book Elizabeth. I am going to be doing a lot more with her. I love her, and I'm so honored to bring Elizabeth Troy to you. So, brothers and sisters, like I said, I have the absolute honor of having Elizabeth Troy on. And Elizabeth, thank you again for coming on.
Oh my gosh.
All the things you've helped me with. You're incredible, and I'm just so happy and honored to have you on.
Oh my gosh. I am so happy to be here, Lucas. It's my honor. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And very, very excited to have this conversation.
Same. So, I mean, I talked about it in the intro, but
Mhm.
best-selling author, incredible healer, nutritionist, all the things that you've done. And I know you're working on another book, but
Yeah.
before we even get into all the things that you are doing and have done, how'd you get started into this whole world of the body, fascia, and healing?
Like a lot of people in my industry, it was a personal thing and a personal event. And it was an injury that I had. I actually chartered a bus with 42 of my friends to go on a ski trip. I was actually a dress buyer in New York City,
Wow.
and it was 1991, so that can give you an idea of time here.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a snowstorm. And people that were in New York at the time remember it. It was a blizzard. So I tried to cancel the trip because I had had a dream that it was not going to be, there was going to be a bus crash. So, and I just was like, really a dress buyer and saving for law school and very high. I worked really hard my whole life and
Mm,
still do.
yeah,
But so I was just like on a different trajectory than most young people my age. And I just was like, I don't think this is gonna be good idea, guys. And so they're just everyone's like, we're still gonna go. So we got on the bus. We all had been drinking,
sure.
and they asked
Having
me to get
fun.
on. We
No,
were 22 years old. We were having a
yeah,
great time,
right.
and the bus just we were about an hour up from New York City on the thruway. It spiraled around and flipped over a ravine four times,
Wow.
and we had left about 4 hours late. So because of the amount of good time partying we were having, it really is what saved most of our lives. Definitely mine because of my neck injury and my lower back injury.
Wow.
So long story short, I was the last person to get taken out of the bus, and I was not actually in my body. And I
Wow.
saw what was going above the bus. And there are
Wow.
things that I saw that I would never have known. Like, what one of my friends were being transported to what hospital and where, and it was just crazy. And
Wow.
so it changed my life. I was brought up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic school my whole life. I was definitely I understood, the God and what was going on in life. I wasn't really staunch Catholic at the time,
Mhm.
but I just that changed me forever. I was definitely had a conversation, and the conversation was, "Do you want to go back?" And I said, "I don't think so."
Wow.
I'm not comfortable like getting in that much pain. And I made the decision to do that. My father was there. My father had died when I was 13, and was with him, and actually I was with my daughter, and I hadn't had my daughter yet. And they said this, so I went back into my body, not to get too weird, but it really did happen that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was back in the body, and I was like in so much pain. And I still can recall it like it was yesterday. I smelled gas, and it was the bus.
Mm.
And all of a sudden I smelled the gas, and I was like, somebody better get me out of here. And then all of a sudden they it got me out, and I was way up like on a stretcher, and the bus blew up like right after I was removed. And so that changed everything for me. I was then in very serious rehab. I had lacerated my kidney and my spleen, and I had I was in a lot of rehabilitation for my back injury, my rib cage. It was like a lot of internal injuries.
Mm.
And it went down to the fact that a lot of my friends had had a lot of surgeries and spinal surgeries and things that I was looking at it and I was like, listen, I'm going to do my best not to get those things.
Mm.
And I then moved to Boston because they had a lot of alternative care and experimental kind of um, things in medicine that were not being done in New York. So I moved here, and then I started literally bumped into this man that was actually creating a stretching program to help heal the body because he had been hit by a car here in Boston, and one of his friends actually died. So we started to combine and understand like what was going on with energy pathways, meridians, and how it could heal not only bones, but change the way we were being psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. And it was no turning back for me from that point forward. I literally worked with him for about a month and literally said, this is, now I know I'm going to be okay. And not only that, but it had given me insights and kind of understanding to help other people. I just knew, I knew that it was going to be that. And it was just extraordinary. Like the work that we were doing, and it still is to this day. That's how I met you. There
Yeah.
isn't a moment that goes by that I'm not completely flabbergasted by what
Mm.
goes on with each individual and how it can change the trajectory of not only their life but how they can help other people and help themselves and connect. So,
Mm.
I don't know how, again, I could go on and on the amount that I've learned from that point from 1992 until now. And the good news is how more open people are now. There's a lot of other, I'm an eternal optimist. I don't
Yeah.
even, there's so much negativity going on in always in human
Yes.
existence. And I
Yes.
always look at, oh my God, I can't believe in my lifetime that we're going to be so open to the idea that we have the power to understand and change these things within ourselves to help our families and our friends and to heal ourselves. It's
Mm.
quite extraordinary what the human body can do
Mm.
with some support and some good community. It's endless where we can go with it. So it's really exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Like I almost laughed because it sounded so wild. And then you're like, and then the bus blew up. And I'm like,
Yeah, I know. It was like
like
it was like
legit a
really
movie.
literally
Yeah.
like I was like,
Yeah.
I guess I was supposed to make that decision.
Wow.
And it was one of those things that we just saw very different things happen with the
Mm.
people that were on the bus. Like even if they didn't die, it was like autoimmune diseases and different things
Wow.
with how they handled the trauma of it. And it just is very I got very lucky in the
Mm,
decisions I had made with with the work I do. Because of, it's not it wasn't a very good outcome for a lot of people
right.
because they went, into more traditional ways and didn't look at the gift that was given in
Mm,
such a tragedy, so I still feel like it was a gift.
yeah.
And it was funny because by the time I opened up my studio, I had gotten a little studio in New York and then I expanded. People would come in and say, "Oh, I heard you in an," I was like, "Yeah, that was a long time ago, that accident. I don't even it's not even part of my story." But
Wow.
then I realized that was part of my own denial of like other things in my life too. So,
Wow.
now I'm more really understanding of the magnitude because by the time I opened up the studio and there were so many people needing help, I was really focused on other people, not my own journey
Yeah.
in it,
Right.
right? So I went more into going understanding how the organs function with the meridians and how the body goes into different nutrients for different organs and how to help people with that specifically as each individual. So it became a whole method. And it's still new, which is shocking to me too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hear so many people talk about just recently on a podcast I was listening to this morning, and I don't have a lot of time to listen to these things, but
Mhm.
I'm trying to now because
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to know what's going on. And I was just like, everyone has a lot of conversations about things that are, happening or wrong.
Yeah.
They don't have like they're not talking about the power the human body has to change
Mm,
those things. And I'm looking forward to that, being able to help
yeah.
people understand those things. Like,
Yeah. Be
we
more
can change that.
right. Well,
Yeah.
there's so many things I want to get into, but just going back,
Mhm.
you heard that in a dream you said the bus was
Yeah, I
going to
did. I
crash.
mean, I'm talking to you, Lucas, so I'm going to tell you straight. I did. I
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah. For
I had a
sure.
dream the night before, and one of my best friends was working in my office with me on Seventh Avenue. She was a coat buyer. I was a dress buyer, and
Wow.
I walked up to her in the morning and I said, "Diane, I had a dream. The bus spirals and flips over." And as she was typing, she typed the word spiral because the there was a spiral pattern on one of the coats that she was selling. And she
Wow.
looked at me, she looked back, and she was like, "That's weird." Like she was typing it in the computer. And
Wow.
and it was a
Wow.
moment that I was like, I think we better pay attention to this. I really do.
Mm,
And she was like, "I don't know what are we gonna do?" And I said, "I'm calling the bus company, I'm gonna cancel." And they were like, "No, you're not. No one's gonna get their money back." And I was like,
wow.
yeah, so it was one of those, and I had premonitions of things when I was a
Yeah, that's
kid.
what I was going to ask. That
Yeah,
wasn't
I
the
did.
first time. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time. I
Right.
knew. Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night when my grandmother died, and I said, I went
Mm,
in. And I was like, "Dad, Nanny isn't alive anymore," and he called, and she had passed. So it wasn't the first time. That's why I took it seriously,
yeah.
and I just you know, I just got on the bus. I remember the moment of stepping my foot onto the bus stair and literally hearing a voice like, "You have a chance. Don't, you could go the other way." And I was
Mm,
like, "I'm going with my friends." But
wow.
yeah, it was transformational. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I ever since then it's part of, I when I work with people, I do have, like, I call it like I speak to God, I speak to whoever is helping them in their soul and mine, and work with that energy, and I
Mm,
don't cross it.
yeah.
So when people think I've helped them, I'm like, thank you for thanking me, but I'm really not. I'm really completely connecting to the energy and the source that you have. And I'm
Mm,
just a catalyst for the person to heal. And
mm,
I really know that. I'm true. I'm not a humble person in certain ways, but I'm telling you, it's a fact.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Betty, and so I do have a little bit of a passion about that, about the healing industry and what it's turning into, because I'm like,
Mm,
no, 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 no. If some guru is telling you that they have an answer, or somebody is telling you that they're going to move your energy, turn around and go the other way, because it
yeah,
doesn't work that way.
right,
And
right.
I have a huge passion to make sure that is understood,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
because there's a lot of young people getting caught up in some stuff.
yes.
And if somebody wants to take credit for somebody else's healing or advancements, red flag.
Yep,
Nobody gets credit for anybody else's
that's right.
stuff and what they're doing and how they've worked, and really important. And again, I've been in this game for a long time now, and I feel like if there's something that I want to do, for the rest of my life, it would be to make a difference in that way, to make sure
That's
that
so
the
cool.
clarity is out there, to be able to help others understand, you know, that when there's good and evil out there. That was a
Yep,
hard one for me to realize.
yeah,
I totally didn't realize it. So we have to make sure that people can feel when something's authentic and not,
right, right.
in especially healing work.
I think that's one of the things that you and I connected so immediately because we both love truth.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like truth
Absolutely.
above all things, and no,
Yes. Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that I said this the other day on a podcast, and the guy's like, "Wow, that's like a hard saying," but I said 99% of truth is 100% a lie.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's a
Wow.
hard statement for people to understand, but
Yeah.
you take pure water and you put a drop of urine in it, it's
Hmm.
urinated water. It's not
Right.
one contained little, it's the whole
Hmm.
thing's contained in, and people get caught up in a lot of 99% stuff, and then they find out they've been trapped or taken astray. And so, yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah,
And
you and I are like, nope, move on. Yeah.
right. And
Um,
yeah, and motivations are a big deal.
yes, yes,
Motivations and where that goes, and that's what, um yeah, I have, I would love to help people be able to recognize those things. And I
right.
totally agree, you know.
I had to
So,
learn, it was like maybe second or third therapy session when I started going to therapy in 2016. I asked the therapist, what's the difference between manipulation and influence? Because I grew up with a very prolific, um, charismatic
mhm,
father that was incredibly dynamic, but behind the scenes, uh, not a good situation.
mhm,
And I can be charismatic, and I didn't want to be like him. And I asked the therapist, what's the difference between manipulation and influence? And he said one word, intention. And I was like,
mhm. Yeah, that is,
oh, that's so
yeah,
good. I needed that
yeah.
to know, like, it might look a certain way, but my intention is to love and
Mhm.
free people, not
Right,
trap in
right. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, that's a big one. That's very, very similar to what lesson I had to learn with that.
Mm,
And when intention from my work of understanding um Chinese meridian theory, and I've
mm,
worked with a lot of two very important mentors to me, were two very elderly men, Chinese
mm.
doctors that were in New York, and both have passed.
Wow.
And they would differentiate intention is the energy source that goes through, like the way in which it
Cool.
works. That's the energy pathways. So
Cool.
the intention is a spiritual understanding, and motivation and manipulation. Motivation could be the high side of manipulation. Who knows? The words are, but that's
Yeah.
the emotional. So that comes deeper in from the liver, and the intention is kind of something that your energy becomes around you.
Huh.
So,
That's
and
so
it
cool.
moves the other pathways, and I would go to them and ask them. They had translators, like their one had
Mm,
their daughter, the other one had his son. So
wow.
they would be like, what is an American young woman asking, how is that? How are you doing this? And I
Yeah.
said, I'm working with people's bodies, and these questions are coming to me from them energetically.
Wow.
Getting it. I keep some very important part of the work I do, and I teach people that I train in this, especially. Like I did a training this summer for yoga teachers. And
Mm,
so it's interesting for yoga teachers because when they're really kind of paying attention to students, they can see these things happening, but they can't put their finger on what it is, and they haven't been taught it.
mm,
So they putting words to things and to understand, like, for example, what I was talking about. I don't want to skip around, but what I was talking about with this podcast I would listen to today, this woman, and she's a very prominent woman in the healing world, and she does a lot of lectures about, and basically she was talking about that the real problem is that people aren't having a community anymore, and they don't have a way of connecting. And then, the problem of which she called the and the that the social media and stuff is the devil. And she was saying that, and I was just like, okay, and this is what happens to me when I'm listening to these people.
yeah.
But they never give the rest of it. Like,
Yeah, the
okay,
solution.
what are we going to do?
Yeah, right,
And
right.
where does that come from? And I'm not
Yes.
saying I have all the answers,
Mm,
but because I came into this through the other way, which is internal healing, and
mm,
not like what I'm going to do with this and how I'm going to make money with it.
yeah.
I came in the opposite way. It was really to survive. I'm just like, well, I know that when you don't connect, there's something going on with your energy pathways, especially your fascia. So if you start
Mm,
releasing your fascia and you start changing those pathways through your muscles, you actually do start connecting with people and with your community in a different way.
that's
It isn't just a thought in your mind or a conversation. It is literally your physical body changing, and you're open to connecting then. And so
that's
I
so
think
cool.
yeah, so I think we have gotten to a tipping point
Mm,
of a lot of people having a lot of conversations without a lot of direct answers to what am I going to do with my life then? Like,
yeah,
how am I going to change that? And that's where it comes into we're in the physical form, and until we're not again,
yeah,
we have to deal with that. And because the ramifications of what's going on in our world, we have to adapt to it.
mm,
And if we can, we're going to keep evolving in a really positive way.
mm,
If we don't, we're going to keep having very complicated problems going on.
yeah,
And the problem is that we're up against what has been created is motivated by a lot of money.
mm,
And if you're trying to just say something pure and honest and true
yeah,
against that force,
yeah,
then then you really don't have a position to say that.
right.
And I'm telling you, I do. And I know exactly what the answer is, and I know how to help people. And
Mm,
I really want to, because I don't want to see the next generation suffering.
right, right.
We have enough to deal with as human beings.
Yeah,
Like, no
yeah,
reason to have it.
right.
So, yeah.
One of the things that I didn't know that basically do you consider it a near death experience when you're hovering over your body? I mean,
Well,
that's,
I didn't know it was a near-death experience until
uh,
someone told me when I was in California,
yeah,
like about five. They were like, "You need to come to our near-death experience groups," and I was
yeah,
like, sitting there, I was like, "Wait, okay." That I didn't. I honestly didn't realize it. I
wow,
mean, I was very injured. I was very, very injured,
yeah,
but I didn't realize that the moment that that happened, it really was like a near, like it, like, so in other words, like my choice of coming back into my body
yeah.
was like, I just would have been like, too bad we didn't get her out. The bus blew up. So
Mm,
was it because I was so injured that I was gonna die? No. But it was the choice
yeah,
that it was like, wait, like, yeah, so it wasn't your, I mean,
yeah, right.
I know it was a near death experience, but I didn't know at the time. It was crazy.
When you said you were with your daughter and your
My
father at the
dad,
same
yeah.
time,
Yeah.
When you had your daughter later on, did you recognize her or did you feel like, wow,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I knew the whole time. And of course, because of the injury, not of course, but that every doctor told me I'd never have a child. They said I would never,
amazing.
all of it. Yeah. So it was quite extraordinary. Absolutely. I saw
Wow.
her eyes. I was like, there she is. It
Wow.
was it was quite extraordinary. Yeah. Mhm.
Um, one of the things as you're talking, so everyone, as I mentioned in the intro, I got
Mhm.
the true pleasure of getting work done by you. And I'm reminded how strong you are as you're talking.
I
I'm
know. Well, that's
remembering some of
crazy,
those.
right? And
Yeah, it's
I was never an
unbelievable.
athlete
Yeah,
in college or high school, nothing.
yeah,
Like when I started doing this, I was like, damn, I could have like done I could have been a soccer player or a
yeah.
lacrosse player. I could have, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to be smart. That's all I cared about, because
Wow.
I went to Catholic school and this and this and this, and I knew I was, I had a certain level of intelligence. I wasn't like off the charts in
Yeah.
things, but I knew I was smart with people. I knew
Mm,
it. And but
yeah.
no, then when I got into this, I was like, wait, I work with professional football players and basketball.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know. And it
Amazing.
is about because you got it right away because of your spiritual connection and
Mhm.
you understood it right away. And
Yeah.
and the truth is, when I had like the big studio I had, most people walking in did. And that's what I
Mm,
realized. And you say, did I recognize my daughter?
yeah.
There were people, so I had a lot, thousands throughout the 15
Yeah.
years at that larger studio, but there was probably 10 to 15 people that walked in, and I was like, there they are. I
Wow.
knew them. I knew them. It was weird. And that was another spiritual thing. It
I
was
don't know
like,
why. That makes me want to cry. That's like
yeah,
so
it
sweet.
was, and they
Yeah.
knew me. It was
Mm.
like they were like, "Here we are," like without
So
speaking.
beautiful.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was extraordinary, and
Mm,
I feel, and I was just talking to my daughter about this recently. I
man.
never thought this until the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to happen again. I
Wow.
think the world needs it again, and I would love to help replicate that and
Yeah.
help people in all towns, like not to be mine, but to be like, hey, this is
Ah,
going to help people. This
yeah.
is how you do it.
Yeah.
And I want, because it really was. I mean, people came in and they were like, I feel like your arms are around me. And it was this like
Mm,
this it was like a piece of paradise, and it wasn't,
wow.
and again, it wasn't me. I would go early and I would create the room, and it was just nothing ever happened negative. It was
Mm,
just a extraordinary time. And it was sometimes I did start crying. I would be like, look at people come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
yeah.
This is amazing, and
Amazing.
people met each other, they got married, they would be, kids would be friends with, it's quite extraordinary.
Wow.
So yeah,
As you're sharing, there's a song. I don't know. I haven't when the last time I thought of the song, but the song I grew up in church, and I always thought it was so beautiful. And the words are, "Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you." And I just
gosh, oh my
remember
gosh,
just like
that's beautiful. I love
and
that.
yeah, as you're
Yeah,
talking, it's like we're just the embodiment. Like you
yeah,
really are helping people. If there's any term about being embodied,
yeah, yeah,
you are
yeah.
helping them be embodied. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. That's that, Lucas, seriously. It's like that's the what I've been trying to communicate and write about is that is exactly it. We're
Mm,
being pulled out of our body and getting fragmented energetically and emotionally. And I don't want to be one of those people that I'm telling you I'm listening to and being like, okay, that we have to be pulled back into our body. We have to feel our body's energy again
mm,
and allow it to keep, I was just about to say it before, free attentional focus. And free attentional focus means when you're in your body, you let your mind go wherever it's going to go. Let the feelings and the sensations go wherever they're going to go.
mm,
We've been trained so much to be like, that's a bad thought. That's not pure. That's not. And the truth is, if you don't allow those things to come up and out and understand them, get perspective, then they turn into something else. And that's what you
Mm,
don't want to happen. We're all interconnected, and we need to let those things develop and change inside of us so we can recognize them and
yeah,
either let them go or bring them in and let them grow. We have to do it. And again, this conversation is really exciting for me because it sounds like I've said that before. I've never said that before. But like when I'm with someone that I can have these conversations with, then I'm realizing what is actually happening in
wow,
those moments.
it's
And it's
amazing.
it's that important. It's very important that we start to come back into our
Yeah,
body.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and again, I'm not against what's going on. I don't think I could get in a conversation that I know what's wrong in a lot of ways but we're not going back. We're not going to
yeah.
go back to
That's right,
not having computers. We're not going to go back to not having AI or
right,
anything.
right.
But so let's embrace what we can and then create lives that we can keep advancing our physicality and our spirit and our emotions and our mind
Yes,
and put those where they belong at the times they belong, not let them take over,
right, right.
because we have to honor like what got us here as human beings, and that's being physical, and it's being in nature, and it's being
Yes, yes.
disconnected from other forces.
Mm,
And I said, and in my book proposal and my book, they're the social dilemma. At the end of social dilemma, they asked all of the people that created the platforms, how do you handle this with your kids? And every single one of them said they don't let their children
right,
on.
right.
And when you have a situation like that, then we have to learn how to adapt to it so
Yes,
we can do it in the positive way, because I'm talking about it as a healer.
yeah,
That is in fact what I am at helping people heal,
right,
that people are not the same as they were 10 years ago. I'm
right.
touching their bodies and I'm telling you they are not the same.
Mm,
The constitution inside of the tissue of children is not the same.
mm,
People that I'm working with these are people of means. And this is not actually, I want to work. I
yeah,
have something that
sure.
I created with my husband who is no longer with us, but it's called the goodness business model. And
Mm,
I want to be able to work with people that have influence and power that can help others. Then I can work with all the other people and teach other people how to work with people that can't do it and don't have the access or
mm,
don't have the means. It's not rocket science to figure out. That's the only way that we're going to be able to work together, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But these people need help, and it doesn't matter what socioeconomic level you're on. It is absolutely, the tissue is different, and it's very concerning. And it is not human tissue the way it should be. And this
Wow.
is from a person that has been like, if this happened to me today, that accident that happened to me in 1991, I can promise you the recovery would not have been the same, because my body, even every single day, I swim every single day in salt water. I
Mm,
stretch every single day. I do everything I can, and I have to stay 10 times ahead to keep the
wow.
inflammation down, to make
Wow.
sure that the stress level stays down. It just isn't we're dealing with a very different way
Yeah.
of being in this
Yes.
world, you know.
Yes.
And
I think is you're sharing this, the thing I've been talking about at work and just podcasting and writing and all the things is that as much as the darkness has just laid its heaviness on all of humanity, it is forcing the existential question that we have forgotten to ask ourselves is what does it mean to be human? And
right.
until we answer and ask that question and then answer that question, we will continue on this path. And I think God, one of the things I've learned, like for myself, and believe that trying to understand duality in this life and good and evil and life and death and left and right and up and down, all these polarities, but
Mhm.
ultimately it all serves the greater good. Like the death of nature, mushrooms grow. Like there's always this regenerative cycle that's taking place. But for us at this time, I think
Mhm.
humans in history have had an answer to what it means to be human, and the writing and poetry and art and
Mhm.
architecture and all the beauty that was once created has become so low vibration that I think we're finally going to go, oh, this is what it means to be human. And the minute we wake that up,
Right.
we take a different trajectory. And I share
Mhm.
that there's no accident why the word heart and earth share the same letters. And when you take H of heart and you put it at the end, you have earth. And as
Mhm.
you
Right.
reconnect back with the earth, you're reconnecting back to your heart. And so
Yeah.
I'm hearing you and I'm like, man, it's all happening. I just hope people answer that question sooner than later.
I know. And that's what that I totally agree. That's amazing. I thank you for saying that because I I feel the same way, like how, you know, what, you know, what is it going to take?
Mhm.
And what I've seen is it's simple distraction. People are distracted and they're not paying attention. And if you're
Mm.
paying attention to other people's agendas and other people's belief systems that you think might be your own, then you stay detached from your own body. And
Mm.
when you do that, you lose like who you are as a person. Like I have no I have when I'm working with someone or they need my help in any, I don't care what they believe politically. I
Yeah,
don't care
right,
what they're doing in their personal life or what, like, what sexuality they identify with. That has
right,
nothing to do with me.
right,
That is, I
right,
don't, it's not my, that's not where my attention goes.
right.
So what everyone is becoming and where it's gotten to the tipping point, and I think it's a tipping point. I think
Mhm.
that
Yes,
we're realizing it. So
yes,
that's a good thing.
yes.
And I don't think it's a mistake that I'm willing to finally start talking about it.
Mm.
I have
Yeah,
steered very clear of the conversations because I wanted to see where
yeah,
things were going to go
yeah.
because I don't want to be that person. I don't have the answers. I'm never going to tell someone I do. But
Mm.
I do know that if we don't start, we need to feel the vibration in our body and connect to other vibrations in and outside in the world
Yeah,
because what's going on is that we're getting connected to the wrong vibrations then because
yes,
we're going to get connected somehow. So
yes,
if we don't identify the good one, then we're automatically connected to the dark
right.
one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
right.
what
It takes
happened.
intention. Again, it gets back to
Yeah.
intention, right? We have to
Yeah.
be intentional to, I have in my office at work two quotes, one from Abraham Lincoln that says, whatever you are, be a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
And another quote by Benjamin Franklin said, instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're talking
Uh-huh.
about. We have to be
Mhm.
intentional to
Yes.
create light, or it just dark. Actually, this quote right here I have is darkness is not a counterforce to light. Darkness exists in the absence of light.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're
That's
experiencing. The light has just gone out because people forgot.
yeah. Then it's been and it happens fast.
Happens
It can
fast.
happen in one generation.
Right.
Like when I talk to young people and they say, and we have this hard and this happened, and I'm like, first off, okay, I agree. Nothing's worse than not being able to have like, I mean, I had a good time in the 80s.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
question we had
Yeah.
really good times. And,
Yeah.
you work hard and you play hard, and
Yeah.
we really did, and so it isn't easy like that. But
Right.
the other part is that we've had histories of time of human existence that were really hard, and then people at least had community and unconditional love within in a family and things
Yes.
like that. Now it's
Yes.
this part of isolation. And the key that I don't want to do what I say people do is talk and not the answer really is to change the physicality by traditional, I mean, again, traditional yoga was basically resistance stretching in that way from the beginning of hatha yoga and all the original, throughout throughout time. It
Yeah.
was always it, get connecting to the body and breath.
Right.
But we're dealing with something even more so now, though. We have to make sure that we can get whatever out first
Right.
so
Right.
we can really connect and it's not, something that doesn't work, or somebody gets hurt. And that's where we're seeing it go. So it is about understanding that the priority has to be about using whatever technology or the way in which we're educating to
Mm,
be understood and revamped in a way and say, okay, this is actually working against the
mm,
human body and to try to adjust it.
yeah.
Simple adjustments make a huge difference. And then the body starts to awaken again and
Yeah.
become more sensitive and open to, you know, the good vibrations that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things I want to talk about with people listening. There's two things I remember specific. Well, there's actually, I remember the whole session. It was
Yeah.
about actually like
Yeah.
pushing my leg down on you as hard as I could. And it was like vibrating. And I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. And you're like, no, go. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
I know it's
But
fun.
that one exercise where I literally had no power, no, I couldn't even, it was like I was laughing because I was so weak. I had no
Yeah.
strength, and that was all tied to certain traumas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
talk about that. That
yeah.
was so fascinating.
So let's just the simple aspect of my work is about the the path of most resistance. So
Mm,
the path of least resistance is the entry into the high level of spiritual world, right? So what
yeah.
I'm trying to do is get people in their own energy source.
Mm,
So that is spiritual, okay? So
yeah.
when I have someone resist, I exposed your weakness so you could go after your weakness and
Mm,
it opens you up to what's blocked.
wow.
So that's why with that time with that first time that I worked with you was like you get kind of blown away because
Yeah, it
you
was
were open.
amazing.
Okay, so that was another reason I'm like I'm gonna go after you.
Yeah.
You wanted that. I
Yes.
read that on you.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna do it. And so
Yeah, it
the,
was
the
awesome.
key is to expose the weak part of you so you could realize it. And that opens up the person's mind a bit like, wait, I wanna understand what's going on here.
Mm,
Then as I work with you, if you can keep challenging yourself in that weakness, it the physical part, it opens up the fascia, the grid. So the fascia is the a lot of people know what it is now. People thought I was using a foreign language
uh,
years ago, but it's literally like a cheesecloth or a three-dimensional grid in the human body, and it gets gnarled up if the
mm,
energy pathway is blocked, the meridian. So for you, your energy pathway was very blocked in
mm,
front of your chest, in
yeah.
through the outside lining of the heart, which is the pericardium. It's a sac that the
Mm,
heart sits in. And when people have that, if it's that blocked and that encaved, it's either from what I had, which was a very serious accident. So
mm,
my heart got thrown up against the front of my chest and I literally broke my rib cage. So the intercostal muscles are associated with that.
wow.
So let me just back up. So the way in which I work with the body, I'm not alone. This is the first yogis of all time did this
Yeah.
thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
They it's there's a muscle group and a meridian that runs through that muscle group.
Mm,
And that meridian is associated with an organ in the body, directly associated. And throughout that meridian, there are points on that meridian that can get
mm,
fired to help that organ fire. So when
Wow.
I worked with you, my attention, because I've worked with thousands of people,
Yeah.
looked at you and I'm like, that heart needs to open up from the inside out. And that means it's the pericardium.
Hmm.
So when the pericardium is closed like that, and the human being, like Lucas, was not closed, you
Hmm.
didn't have a closed mind, you
Right.
didn't, but your internal heart was. That when I looked at you, I'm like, and I saw you what your intention was, and that your willpower was to get it to open.
Yeah.
I put you in certain stretches to get that to open up, and you felt extremely weak
Oh.
because that's your challenge. And the challenge of it was to get that fascia to open up in through the
Hmm.
inside. So different stretches will get the muscle group to contract. So as we're stretching, it pulls the fascia away from that meridian, and then the energy can move into the heart. So that's how it works. It's a very simple way to say it, but as you had the experience, it's kind of mind blowing
Mind, mind
because,
blowing.
yeah,
Yes.
because no one can, the people are putting together pieces. But like for me to go to yoga classes that I go to here, and I see people struggling and they're trying to force their body into things, you can't, it can't be done without a intentional stretch in that one
Hmm.
way, and then your body can reacclimate and the energy and the pathway can open up. So the pericardium, each organ is balanced by another organ. So the pericardium is balanced by the skin meridian, which is this area here through the, and that's the skin is associated with stress. It's
Hmm.
also associated with healing, and it's
Hmm.
very much the everything has the high side and low side, or the good part or the negative part.
Yeah.
But everything has that. It's yin and yang, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The downside of skin is abuse,
Hmm.
okay? And the high side of skin is healing. And
Hmm.
that's balanced by pericardium. So the fact that your chest was so tight, like for a young man, scale of 1 to 10, 9, 9.5.
Wow.
I was like, this better, we have to get this to open. It had to have come from something from the outside.
Yeah.
There is no other way it could have happened because if you had that kind of impact in your body, you would not be able to have sustained it in an accident.
Hmm.
That's how tight it was.
Hmm.
Your physical body would have broken.
Hmm.
So that's how I knew. And unfortunately, I've seen it in other times. I've seen it I worked with several guys that were in the attacks of 9/11, had
Hmm.
similar things like that. I had a couple of women that had had very unfortunate things happen. So when I look at people like you that and other people that have had very big impacts in their body and they've come through, the way I look at it is like, this is part of your healing, and I
Hmm.
have I got a gift to be able to teach you how to heal that
Hmm.
and to put it into the positive way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what keeps me going with this work. It keeps me in that, to have these kind of tools
Hmm.
is quite extraordinary. And it's really about human beings working with each other to do that.
Hmm.
Do I feel like it's important that it happens? Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, you just said, are we in a little bit of a time thing here?
Hmm.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to get this stuff out and we have
Yeah.
to start living our life and being able to help as many people as we can to be able to heal. You know,
Hmm.
and it isn't okay to keep it in your body because it turns into something else. And it
Hmm.
and it it's not a good thing. Yeah, it can't stay.
Right.
So if I think about the overwhelming amount of we're dealing with a lot of things here. We're dealing with each individual's issues
Yeah.
that need to be healed. We're dealing with an environment that is not forgiving, and
Hmm.
we're dealing with agendas that aren't actually putting human beings first.
Yeah. Right.
So we're dealing with a platforms, a lot of different pillars here that we need to say, okay. Let's
Mm.
see, let's get back to the human beings that we are.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, maybe sit down at the table and adjust from there. And maybe it isn't about how much money we all can accumulate.
right.
Maybe we really have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And there, that's how, but for you personally, you were like an open book, and
Mm.
that's also what I've seen with
It's
people that
cool.
truly had to confront themselves. And
Yeah,
so for me, I had to too, in
yeah.
many, many other ways. And that's fun for me because I'm
Mm.
like, here, this is amazing that we found
Mm.
each other, like, let's do it,
Yeah,
let's
it was
get
like,
this
hey,
job done.
yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
like that's great, even if it's hard, like,
Yes,
let's just
yes,
do it.
yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
so that's it. I mean, it's exciting.
Do healing is you you saw the book that I wrote, and then I've rewritten
Yeah.
it and I use it, and my heart is I want to see the world heal, but I think the world healing, for whatever reason, I have this hang up. It's not my own hang up. It's what I perceive people think of the word healing. Like it's almost discarded, as opposed to, like, I'm like, this is the most important thing. If you do anything in your life,
Mhm.
is heal.
Definitely. No
And
question.
are you, I guess, what are you seeing with the perception of this word?
Oh my gosh. Uh, for me, the perception of my work is different than what I'm seeing. So right when COVID hit, right at the beginning of it, I was like, okay, what's going to happen here is that people are going to realize that if they don't have their health, they look, my belief system. You don't have your body
Yeah,
pain and you don't have your health. You could have everything else in the world and it's not going to matter. All you
yeah,
have to do is know somebody that got sick
yeah,
or
yeah.
got like in a tragic accident, and
Right.
and all of a sudden the only attention is on that.
Mm,
And so what I thought was going to happen, which did, was that people are going to wake up and say, let's do it. Let's
yeah,
heal. Let's
yeah.
figure it out. Forget about COVID. That
Right,
wasn't even the issue. It was
right.
more like a wake up call, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
most people understand that are in consciousness. They're
yes.
like, it was wake up call.
Right.
So what it did do though was move healing, quote unquote, into you know, biohacking and who's
Mm,
gonna like what kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
technology is gonna put us into
Yes.
a room of like whatever. And again, I wasn't surprised at that either. But there's a lot of great things that if you have the means, you would probably get healthy, but I still don't see it bringing a higher level of consciousness and
Mm,
true self-reflection and
yes,
depth.
yes.
That I'm not seeing as much at all yet. I am seeing people striving for it and wanting it,
Mm,
but it's still like not getting there. We need to still come together and have these like this conversation. Honest, of course, I'm going to say this. I'm the one having the conversation with you, but this is a conversation that people should be sitting down at a round
yes.
table
No,
with
I
100
agree.
people saying,
Yes,
"How are we going to solve this problem?"
yes.
Because our children are not well.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this was something in my book. It was like crazy. This new book we were doing. I had my daughter doing research, and I mean, I don't want to misspeak, but it's something along these percentages that
Mm,
since 2023, supplement purchases went up like 75% than 2020. Okay, so
wow.
it's 75%, but it's a $63 billion industry in the last 4 years from like a couple $100 million industry. Insane.
Wow.
And the trajectory of our health and wellness has gone down almost 90 something percent, like insane.
Mm,
Like it's just like horrible. So we're taking all these supplements where people want to be healthy and we're plummeting
yeah.
in our health.
Yes. Yes.
So whatever we're trying to do, and again, those numbers probably are wrong, but it's something dramatic like that.
Yeah.
And we're not getting to the point of what is it that is making us not happy,
Mm.
not connected. Anxiety is off the charts. People like what I do now with people when I was working with you in the physical body, that's what you
Ah.
needed. So many people need vagal nerve, my cranial sacral work,
Mm.
all through the nervous system, like
Mm.
osteotherapy with hands, feet, neck. I'll spend
Mm.
things like even guys like you, like I'm working only on that in order to calm them down enough to
Mm.
get their body to actually receive the larger kind of stretching
Yeah.
because they're so off. I say it's like we're like literally that central nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system in through the vagal nerve is so off grid.
Mm.
Like I can't feel their body anymore. I don't feel their energy in their limbs like I used to. And
Wow.
it's seriously, and I'll say that to them and they're like, I know. I feel that too. Like
Wow.
I'm aware I don't have that connection anymore. So it's like that's the part that we need to have a conversation about and how to
Yeah.
do it. And I do know how to do it. And I think it's ancient kind of healing. It's vibrational healing.
Yeah.
It's deep sonic wave. Like it's something that people can do. It's you
Mm.
can do myofascial release to yourself. Is it better to have it assisted? Yeah, but people can do it. There are things
Mm.
to do that can help you have that. Just time to get things, centered and away.
Mm.
But it is a physical thing. I think that I mean, the science is there with meditation really helps, but
Yeah.
get a person to meditate with that kind of stress in their body or that
Yeah.
kind of charge is virtually impossible.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I just for everyone listening, I think I shared this. I was so sick in um 2012 all the way through 2016. I had SIBO, I had diverticulitis. I was going into anaphylactic shock at random times. I was so sick. I could barely, I mean, there were so many times I thought I was going to die. Literally, I thought, well, I'm just dying right now. And I was so sick, like
Mhm.
bloated and I was just, oh, it was the worst.
Yeah.
And all that went away when
Yeah.
I went on my healing journey. I
Yeah.
have no issues anymore of those. I mean, not, there's still stuff I'm working on, but it's not those specific issues. And I remember the doctors trying to give me all these drugs, and that wasn't what I wanted. But then when I went and started crying, one of the things that I really believe, you're talking about sonic sound and frequency, we don't know how to cry anymore.
Right. Hmm.
Children heal because they cry.
Hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
frequency and vibration to get it out. And we have forgotten to cry. I wrote this song, Cry Again. And we have to learn. I think that's the first step is like to face it, to look at it, and to grieve and let all that stuff out so that we can be open to just,
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, again, bringing it full circle with what I was saying about your pericardium, the skin is the stress level, and
hmm,
actually, there's certain that's also crying. So when you cry, it fires the largest
wow.
pathway is the skin. It's the largest organ, so it fires the entire skin meridian, and it's all of this healing that goes on all through the entire body. So you're completely correct. And it's
Wow.
truly one of the
Wow.
most the
I have
deepest
chills.
feel.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
unbelievable that you just said that because
Wow.
most of the time people be like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Like if they're in a
Yeah,
bed.
yeah.
I'm
Right.
like, please. I mean, that's
Yes.
the point. I'm not trying
Yes.
to make you cry, but if
Right.
I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what it is. I'm like,
Right.
it's there.
Yes.
This is part of what that's the part of becoming conscious.
Right.
And I say you could think of it tomorrow, you might think of it next year, but it's some kind of memory your body knows that you
Hmm.
need to release and it is needs to heal and crying is the physical part of allowing that to happen and it's really it's amazing that our
Hmm.
body has that capacity but
Hmm.
you're taught to hold it together,
Suck it up, tough it
suck
up.
it
Yeah,
up
I'd
and
hear all
like
the time. I'll give you
Right.
something to cry about. I'll give
Yeah.
you about, and I
Exactly.
was given something to cry about.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's, and I even saying that right now, it's just that memory like goes in my gut. I can feel it. And I'm like, God,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Oh.
many.
Mm.
And now's the time. Now we're healing now, or I guess now's the time where you and I are having this conversation.
Exactly.
Everyone listening, I reached, like, I love this woman. I cannot tell you enough about how like much I trust you and trust her, to everyone listening. And I think about you a lot. We were talking, and then I
Me
took
too.
this job, and I disappeared and it was pretty hellish. But I think about you, and then I was like, man, I just got to reach out, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad because it
Thank
just felt like everything clicked in. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I know. I was so excited when you
it's
reached out because
amazing.
yeah, I mean it was it that's the good news about what I think has happened in especially in the last few years
Yeah.
that when people are paying attention, then it's like, of course that's the right energy, that's the right idea, that's the
Mhm.
right connection. And
Yeah.
that's what we had right away, right?
Yes.
There
Yes.
was just and then we for whatever happened in this distracted world, then it's like easy to be like, oh, maybe not, maybe that shouldn't. And that's what I try to bring on, not to doubt at all. Just, and what do you have to lose? Like,
Hmm.
I was so happy to hear from you.
So
And I
cool.
was also thinking, like, oh, I don't want to cross a boundary. I don't, that's not me. That's not who
No,
I
and that's
am
not
in
no.
my
And
life.
I'm always,
I ever,
my
I'm
inner
like,
voice is
what?
I don't want people to think I want something from them because I just want
Right.
to love them and connect with them. It's not
Yeah,
like I'm
I know,
there's
but
no,
isn't that
and
crazy? That's how I
yeah.
am too. And it's like, what? We have to
Yeah.
worry about everybody else's like weird stuff.
Right,
That
right.
doesn't like where are the ones that are right? Like that's
Yes.
again, that's the good news that I think is changing. It's like you
Hmm.
have to what I mean, of course that we should all trust that in ourselves.
Yes.
Know that
Yes.
that's the truth, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that does matter. And I really do appreciate you saying that
Hmm.
about in the session. I mean, honestly, Lucas, the amount of people I've worked on for, you know, a lot of time.
Hmm.
And I was just like, you don't feel that? You don't get that? Like,
Oh my
and
God.
after a while, I'm like, what? Because I know when I've been worked at, when I get assisted,
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. This is a, so your
Yes.
response was, I thank you for saying it, but like, I mean, you were open, you
Hmm.
received it, but
Hmm.
gosh, we kind of just scratched the surface. I mean,
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm dying to do more. It's crazy,
Oh my
you know.
gosh, it's
Like it's like
amazing.
there's people that I work with 5 times a week, and I'm like,
Wow.
okay,
Wow.
yeah.
That's cool that they
Well,
get
because
you.
people
That's
know when people have
yeah.
been searching though, and they know they will make it their priority. Like so,
Yeah.
when I had my studio, and again, I really feel like it's going to happen again in
Yes.
this way. I started to realize people were making, like going to a gym was a lot. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
I make it there 3 times a week. All of a sudden, people were just being able to get to my studio with no problem, right? So
Wow.
then I did this
Wow.
open class card. I'm like, okay, just pay this one flat fee a month. Let's see what happens. That's when the place started booming. Everyone made their time to be there, right?
Wow.
Because it was working and it was building and people were really truly healing. Like it
Mm.
was really solving problems,
Um,
and I just really feel like it's time again. People,
yes.
like
Yes.
there's a moment, and I've always trusted that in my
Mm.
like people like what kind of business plan do you set up? I said a business plan. I literally put a thing on the door. I put down a beautiful Berber cut like a organic carpet. I painted the walls like
Wow.
with non-toxic paint.
Uh,
That's it. And the
wow.
place was people are like, this is the most beautiful place. I put full spectrum lights in and
Wow.
just had them hanging from the ceiling. It was like
That's
all like
awesome.
sunshine. Everybody's like, this is magical in here. I love this
Wow.
place. I'm like, it
Wow.
was $10,000. It was open for the whole, like, it was just gorgeous because the energy was gorgeous.
Amazing.
It
That
was
gives
like,
me
it was
chills. That gives me
amazing.
chills.
It was like,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to it
Yes.
again because what I did, I made a decision to go like it private.
Mm.
Okay. So I was like, I wanted to get the first book out and be
Yeah.
private because people were asking me, and it was not my wheelhouse. Like
Mm.
my wheelhouse is not that. It's not like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to help. a lot of people, and so it was a lot more work to be that way, and it was a very much not my nature to be that way. And so here we are, 2025,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows? And through that time, I did a lot of my own healing, a lot of it, like
Mm,
especially in the last 5 years.
mm,
And again, anyone that does work, hands-on work with people know, like, it's hard for me to even think I should be even, I mean, I hate to say this because it's the truth though, even getting paid, because when you're working
yeah.
with people, it's
Yeah.
really about your own, I'm honored to be in the same room with the person because
Yeah.
it's a gift,
Yes. Yeah.
so I've been able to heal and understand myself through other people's experiences and their healing, and I confronted myself on a lot, so it's been an extraordinary, amazing, you know, path that I've taken. And it's not easy. No,
No.
I mean, I don't know if I don't think anything is easy for people that really achieve like what they you never know what's going to happen,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, but it's been quite extraordinary.
Mm,
And I keep on just listening and paying attention. And it was just a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, I think I have to, really have something open that it can take on its own life again,
wow.
which is what it's meant to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Um, Before we wrap, I want to share, have you share, you have your first book,
Mhm.
um, which you co-authored and
Mhm.
it's obviously bestseller and it did great, but you have a new book coming out. And what
Yeah.
can you talk about this new book?
Yeah,
Or
so
talk about both books, I guess,
yeah,
but
this well the first book was it was this, I wrote a manuscript very long and went into deep science, and what they said was we have to put it out and like have it read by masses, so they cut it down to very little of
mm,
my information.
yeah,
It really was a cookbook, and it
yeah,
helped a lot of people. And it was, but the co-author was the person, one of the actresses I was working with at the time. I was working with a lot of people, and that's the one I did the book with
wow.
because of her experience with my work.
Mm,
And the second one is really about a lot of the conversation we've had tonight, which is
wow. Good,
about
good,
like did more about
good.
self. I call it self action healing.
Mm,
It's that came to me in a dream. It was like, oh, it
amazing.
has to be about, and it's not. I'm sure like people have put words like that together, but it's that the self taking the action and doing it
Yeah,
on your own, and building a community around that. And
amazing.
it's very much about taking, um, your understanding of the fascia in your body and how to open the fascia and how that connects to the meridians, and a very simple way of how each organ works. So you could
Mm,
be more understanding of that, how that vibration changes, and be aware of how you're feeling
mm,
after doing certain method, in the fascia release and a craniosacral work. So it's
amazing.
really about pulling it together with micronutrients. And the reason why I really focus on micronutrients, which is like there's 4 formulas that
Mm,
I made with a client of mine. Um, During COVID, he had fourth stage non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he was a client of mine earlier, 13 years before that too. And he healed, and he owns a gallery, but he also is a chef. He was originally a chef, so we cooked together
wow.
and we started making these things. I'm like, we have to get these nutrients into, we have to do
That is
like
so
myofascial
cool.
release, do all of your lymphatic drainage, get all of this to move, craniosacral work, but we have to get those nutrients in so your body heals. And it did.
Wow.
And we called them formulas then. And we literally were, now I'm working with a lot of scientists here in Boston. So it's like very ironic how it weaved in together. And it's just it's going to be one of those things, like I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of this next book because it's
That's
really about the
awesome.
person putting it in their hand and being able to really truly dive in. It's like a reference for themselves to be able to
Mm.
use and to really heal with and their family and friends and you know and I say right at the beginning, this is a never until we're not in physical form
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
It doesn't end.
It's the
And yeah,
journey, yeah, of healing
it's
and
like
being. Yeah.
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 So that's
Um, Dan, I love you. Thank you.
I love you too.
I'd give you the biggest hug right now just for
I
like
can't wait to see you
I
too. We have to
know. I
get
can't
together.
wait.
But yeah, but thank you. It's
I if anyone has the opportunity to go to Boston and work with Liz, I
yeah.
cannot say it enough how
Oh my
amazing it is.
gosh.
And just go test her strength. You'll be blown away.
I'm telling you, and if that's
Oh,
what happens though when you do this work too. Then you get like very strong
it's
because
amazing.
it balances out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you. I'll put all your information in the show notes. So thanks for
Okay.
coming on. I
Oh
love
my
you,
gosh.
and
Same here.
we
It was
have we have
so much to have
much
you.
more to do together.
Oh, I know, definitely.
That's
Can't
right.
wait.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you again for coming on. What an incredible episode. And everyone, whatever you are going through and whatever has happened to you along your journey, just know that healing is the most important thing you can do for yourself right now. Everything in the world is chaotic and confusing, and it's meant to be so that you can finally let go of everything that's external and go inside, reclaim the truth of who you are, who you've always been before the world told you otherwise. You are loved, you are sovereign, you are free, and your journey of healing is your greatest purpose. I am so pleased to have you on this journey. Thank you so much for joining. I am Lucas Mack. I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode. I'll see you then. Thank you for listening. If you're struggling to break free and need support, go to my website at lucasmack.com. There you'll find resources like videos and ebooks, and also information on how to work with me for coaching. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.